Did you know that up to 70% of IT operations work can be automated? Yet, many organizations are still stuck in reacting to issues instead of preventing them. And with the rise of AI, we're now entering a new era where systems don't just detect problems, they can analyze, decide, and even fix them automatically. Today's session is all about that shift, moving from isolated insights to autonomous, closed-loop operations powered by AI and automation. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. We are thrilled to have you join us. Today, I have the pleasure of having here with me Biser Simeonov and as well Boris Zarske, who will moderate the questions in the chat. Biser is a product manager with 10 plus years of hands-on experience delivering multiple products for media, telco, and cloud businesses. Currently, he is acting as product manager for products within the SAP BTP DevOps portfolio, such as the SAP Alert Notification Service and SAP Automation Pilot. And now, let's dive in. Biser, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Tania. Hello, everyone. And I'm really glad to be here and to speak about SAP Automation Pilot and how we can help you guys automating your ops scenarios using Automation Pilot and, of course, SAP Cloud ALM. And nowadays, of course, more and more we speak about AI and how AI changes the world. And obviously, how AI, instead of bringing value to business processes, can be used to automate our operation activities, such as interacting with our IT resources. So today's session is going to be focusing exactly that topic, from AI-driven insights to automated operations. And the main focus is going to be how we are collecting the insights and actually how AI can help us analyze those insights in order to take the right decision about that. So without further ado, I'll start sharing my screen and we can actually see how we can use the automation pilot in the context of SAP Cloud ALM. Right. Here we go. And let me first start with setting up the context. What we're going to see during the next 50 minutes, because we are allocating time for questions from your side. And of course, do not hesitate. Whatever type of questions you have, you can pose these. And we're going to try to cover all of them. So as part of the session, we're going to go through SAP Cloud ALM for operations and especially the domain regarding ops automation. Then we're going to see and we're going to get a better understanding what exactly the automation pilot it is, because for a first time in that series, we're going to speak about the automation pilot. I have few reference scenarios and I will go quickly through these. I wouldn't be explaining a lot of details regarding them. And the idea why I'm showing this to you, it is basically because I would like just to give you an insight on the various different aspects the automation pilot can be used in your landscape, so you can be more efficient as an ops, DevOps team, SRE team, support team, you name it. Of course, we're gonna get a demo where we can see an end-to-end use case, having a cloud application running on BTP, then simulating an issue. That issue will be that issue will be detected in SAP Cloud ALM with the help of the AI. We're gonna understand what it is about, and then we're gonna trigger remediation. And then as a introduction to new capabilities, when we are speaking about agent-driven data operations, I have few slides. So let's go and let's start with the SAP Cloud ALM. So for your context, and if for the first time you see the and you get to know SAP Cloud ALM, we are speaking about SAP Cloud ALM for operations because it has also different scenarios covered in SAP Cloud ALM. So we have SAP Cloud ALM for implementation, which is like which you can consider as a project management tool. We have Cloud ALM for transformation, but the focus today it is SAP Cloud ALM for operations. And the main purpose, speaking about Cloud ALM for operation, is that using Cloud ALM as a central observability platform, we are able to collect metrics, config items, log entries, events, alerts for our entire SAP landscape. S/4HANA, applications running on BTP, Ariba, and so on. Then having these inbound metrics, let me put that way, in SAP Cloud ALM, we can use one of the many use cases supported in Cloud ALM, such as business process monitoring, job automation and monitoring, health monitoring, and so on. In our use case, we're gonna be looking for alerts and we're gonna be ingesting metrics into the SAP health monitoring, into the SAP Cloud ALM health monitoring. Um, the health monitoring pretty much provides an overview about the health status of our resources at a glance. And it is quite easy and quite yeah, visual to detect particular incidents, potential incidents in our landscape going through the health monitoring. Then we have also the problem routing capabilities in SAP Cloud ALM, meaning that we potentially could configure an intelligent event processing. So detecting a particular alert, we can configure a particular action or a problem resolution to be triggered. So in example, in using SAP Cloud ALM, we can get alerts and we can trigger an interaction to external API managed system and so on. But what we are focused on is that we can use the operations automations capabilities in SAP Cloud ALM. And those operation automation capabilities might be the creation of tickets, sending an email, triggering particular chats, or triggering operation flows. And regarding our focus as well, it's going to be the triggering of the operation flows. So speaking about these operation automation capabilities, in SAP Cloud ALM, it is supported different type of products and tools, such as build process automation, business service management, and so on. But our focus, it is SAP Automation Pilot, because as well in SAP Cloud ALM, we can integrate yet another product delivered by SAP, which is Automation Pilot, in order to automate the remediation of particular incidents happening in our landscape. And that's what we're gonna be doing. Moving forward, so the difference between the different capabilities, speaking about the operation flows, I already have mentioned SAP Automation Pilot, and what you need to understand for that scenario where we have potential incident and then triggering an automation with the automation pilot is that if we speak about ops automation or automating the remediation of particular incident in our IT landscape within SAP, then we go with SAP Automation Pilot. That is the product, the recommended approach to apply corrective actions for operational scenarios. In example, upscaling cloud application, restarting databases if we need to do so, upscaling databases, the restarting integration with iFlows, and so on and so on. So in such case, we go with the automation pilot. SAP Build Process Automation, it is the tool to use when we speak about business-related or process-related scenarios. So, in example, if we need to interact automatically with a particular business scenario, then we go with build process automation. Of course, SAP Cloud ALM provides third-party operation automation capabilities, so you can bring a third-party operation automation if you'd like to do so. Right. So now let's deep dive into the SAP Automation Pilot. As a functional overview, we can cover a couple of main features for our product. And with SAP Automation Pilot, it is a cloud-based service. It's part of BTP portfolio. So in order to have it, you need to have an SAP BTP sub-account and then provision one instance of SAP Automation Pilot. Why I say one instance? Because in order to apply and to use the product and in order to interact with your resources, even if you have different Cloud Foundry spaces or different sub-accounts across BTP, with just one instance in one of your sub-accounts, you can interact with these various sub-accounts. So, of course, you might have more than one. It's up to you. Then, speaking about the automation pilot, it is a low-code, no-code tool, meaning that once you have the instance provision in your BTP account, you can access the UI of the automation pilot and build your automation flow in order to fit your needs. And our product also, it comes with provided content. We have more than 300 ready to use commands, but you can extend these commands by designing a more custom flow. And we're gonna get to that as well. And it is already covered and it is part of the demo. Furthermore, we have smooth integration. What that means? That means that the automation part, as I already have said, can be integrated with SAP Cloud ALM, but even furthermore, it can be integrated with, an example, alert notification service. It can interact with external ticket management systems such as Jira, ServiceNow, and so on. And last but not least, we have AI capabilities in our product. And one of the AI capabilities is that we can use the AI generative capability. So instead of designing and modeling an automation flow in a simple prompt, we can specify and we can say, hey, I would like to have a command that checks my HANA Cloud database health status, and then the AI will be generating that command for you. We also have recently have released another feature related to the automation pilot, that it's the support and the creation, of course, in a low-code, no-code manner of MCP servers, and that's gonna be the last part of today's session. So stay with us, and you're gonna learn more about that as well. Right. Moving forward, just to get a better idea about the product and how it looks like. So that's a high-level visualization of the automation, of a simple automation flow created in the automation pilot. So each one of these boxes actually it runs and it executes a particular task. So in example, here we see that we have designed an automation that it checks an API, it restarts the application, and later on it verifies whether or not it verifies that the application API returns the expected response. And I say it is designed for because easily it can be extended. So in example here, obviously we have noticed that it might make sense to add yet another step, which is create an incident. And yes, that's completely doable. We can extend any automation in the automation pilot by bringing more steps. Of course, we can reduce automations. It's up to us. We have the full control, and we, as the users of our product, we can design any type of automation that fits our purposes. Right. So, how we design those automations? Well, in the automation pilot, we have hundreds of ready-to-use automations. These are grouped in various catalogs. In example, we have a catalog related to database, to application lifecycle management, to ticket systems, and so on and so on. And as well, we're gonna see that in a bit. And what it's interesting also to be noticed is that in these commands are grouped in these catalogs, and they easily can be found. We have a search as well in the automation pilot. So if we are looking for database restart, it's easy. We simply can type the keyword and we gonna get the right command. Also, it is important to be highlighted that all of the provided content it's maintained by SAP, and that's the our automation pilot team. What that means? That means that you can consider those provided automations as the top layer of more complex scripts and calls and automations that are happening under the hood. And in example, if there's an API change for any command that is provided by SAP over the time, we as a team we make sure that that change is applied in advance. So if you had used already a provided command by automation pilot, it will be keep working successfully and correctly without any disruption. So that is super important as well. And also we have the so-called core automations. What are the core automations? Well, the core automations in the automation pilot are automations which easily can be plugged in one or more other scenarios. In example, we have HTTP requests. We have commands to trigger any type of HTTP requests, and we're gonna also see that as part of the demo. We have options to create scripts and run those scripts as part of the automation pilot. We support BTP and Cloud Foundry CLI, and we support HANA Cloud database queries, and so on. Why that it's important? Well, even considering that we have those hundreds of ready-to-use commands, we want to deliver to our customers multi-purpose ops automation tool. And we know that, of course, even though that our catalogs and content it's constantly expanding, we cannot cover the whole possible specifics. And we understand also that our customers, they might have complex IT landscapes, running SAP products, maybe some other products. And in order to provide really the ultimate ops automation tool, we want to bring these capabilities as well. So yeah, as I said, we have automations for HANA Cloud, Cloud Foundry, Kubernetes, BTP provisioning, Jenkins, the core automations, etc., etc. And the takeaway from all I said is that the automation pilot, you can consider it as a multi-purpose ops tool and using that tool, you can design pretty much any type of ops automation scenario. So far, I'm very honest, in very rare situations, we see the automation pilot not being capable to automate scenarios for customers. So do not limit your how to say wishes to the demo that you're gonna see today or to the reference scenarios that I'm gonna be showing in a bit. So yeah, in case you have any open questions, whether or not something it's possible, some scenario it's possible to be automated, feel free to raise a question or contact me later on. Right. So let's go and see the automation pilot in the context of SAP Cloud ALM, and not only. Why? Because I already have covered the idea, the concept behind our tool and what we deliver. So the concept is here. It is in the center of that diagram that you see. And let's say that you already have the automation pilot provisioned, you have created the needed automation, using the provided content and then customizing that automation flow with whatever core content you find in the automation pilot. Then it is important to highlight how we trigger the automations, the commands available in the automation pilot. And as well, we have a couple of different options. And today we're gonna see how we trigger a command from using SAP Cloud ALM in Automation Pilot, and also how we can trigger a command directly using the UI of the Automation Pilot. Also, in our product, we have a built-in scheduler. That means that we can schedule when exactly a command to be executed. And as well, we provide here a lot of flexibility. A command might be triggered once per day, it might be triggered each 5 minutes, or it might be triggered in a very specific time, in a very specific date. It depends on us. And as well, the automation pilot, it has an API. And using that API, you might bring a third-party ops platform or a third-party service, and you can interact with the automation pilot. Of course, using the needed authentication. We support basic authentication, certificate authentication as well. Oh, sorry, we support basic authentication and certificates, so you can authenticate towards the automation pilot and trigger, content, fire the automation when it's needed. Then once that it's already covered, here on the right side of the diagram, we see that the product can interact, of course, with SAP solution runtimes and services. Mainly our focus, it is the cloud services and then products delivered by SAP, especially in the domain of BTP. We have a lot of experience, years of experience delivering content and delivering scenarios for those examples. Like here you see the logos of HANA Cloud, Cloud Foundry Runtime, CTMS, Integration Suite, Provisioning Resource and BTP, and many more. Also, during the last 1 year, year and a half, we are looking into delivering more automations and scenarios related to SAP S/4HANA systems. It is in our public repo as well, scenarios related to connecting automation pilot to S/4HANA running on private cloud, so that it's also doable. And we are very interested in those type of scenarios. So if you have any in your wish list, you can bring it as well. And also, it is important to outline that we are not limiting our product to to interact just with SAP solutions. As I said, we understand that our customers, they have complex landscapes, and therefore automation pilot can communicate and can fire commands towards third-party ops tools. We have a catalog for Dynatrace in examples, Jenkins. We can interact with any APIs. Therefore, we support creating tickets in ServiceNow, Jira, etc. And you can, of course, use the automation pilot to interact with any third-party service application that it's not listed here, as long as there is an API for that system or service. Right. Today's focus, however, it is SAP Cloud ALM and Automation Pilot, of course, integrated, interacting with an application running on BTP. Right. So let's look into the SAP Automation Pilot in the context of SAP Cloud ALM. So we already have ready-to-use commands related to SAP Cloud ALM. What that means? That means that you can use these commands without any modification. And these commands, they're mainly targeting Cloud Foundry applications running on BTP. And we have commands for troubleshooting and remediating different type of incidents. So you can upscale an application, you can restart, you can stop an application, you can look, you can collect logs and metrics for the given application and analyze these logs and metrics using the automation pilot. And the collection of the particular, in example, application logs, it is executed by the automation pilot. And also you can be creative, like you can specify what type of logs you would like to be collected. How many of these logs? Are you looking for, let's say, the last 100 lines of the audit log for your application, or you want to get more details and, in example, collect particular metrics for your environment, let's say for the Cloud Foundry environment that it's set up and where your application runs. Right. So considering that, we can extend the ops remediation scenarios because in the automation pilot, as I already have mentioned, natively we have commands and we have content which can be reused in the context of SAP Cloud ALM. So, in example, SAP Cloud ALM, already we know that it collects some metrics and data about our SAP landscape. So it collects data for, in example, SAP HANA Cloud. Also, it collects data for our Cloud Foundry environment, for integration suite, and so on and so on. And once you have that observability data in SAP Cloud ALM, depending on your use case, in example, you can configure from the intelligent event processing a capability so that if a particular alert gets detected in SAP Cloud ALM, then manually or automatically you can use a command that sits in the automation pilot, and you can go and you can remediate that potential incident. And that is very powerful use case. Right. What we recently had developed also to enrich the scenarios that we support in SAP Cloud ALM. Well, as we had seen in the previous slide, in SAP Cloud ALM natively can collect metrics and for your SAP landscape. So if you have, let's say, a CAP application, SAP Cloud LM can collect open telemetry data for that CAP application, and that these metrics are visualized in the health monitoring. But what if you need to collect further metrics that you don't have out of the box for SAP Cloud ALM? For any of the resources in your SAP landscape, being HANA Cloud, Integration Suite, CTMS, yeah, you name it. Or what if you'd like to collect and you'd like to push, let's say, the analysis of the application works? How you could do that? Well, SAP Cloud ALM supports something that is called Metrics API, raw data inbound Metrics API. And we're gonna share that link to you as well. So that's a public documentation within the help documentation, SAP help documentation for SAP Cloud LM. And also you can try out the raw data API at the Business Accelerator Hub. So that is a publicly available API through which you can push pretty much the so-called custom metric into SAP Cloud LM, and you can enrich your observability experience and observability scenarios. You can bring the data into SAP Cloud LM. So how SAP Automation Pilot helps with that exercise? Well, instead of you writing some scripts and automating the process, or writing perhaps a custom application through which you can push the needed metrics into SAP Cloud LM, of course, we have built, provided a catalog in Automation Pilot. So with in a low code, no code experience, we can design what type of data, what type of metrics we want to collect, and these metrics will be pushed to SAP Cloud LM as well. So that's how the catalog looks like. And these are some of the provided commands related to the custom metrics available in SAP Cloud ALM API. And also, it is a disclaimer. When we speak about that raw data inbound metrics API, you can also specify to which use case in SAP Cloud ALM these metrics should be referenced to. So in example, you can push custom metrics to health monitoring, and that's what we're gonna see. But in example, if you're interested into job monitoring and you want to push custom metric related to the job monitoring, also you can do that. Right. So moving forward, today, we're gonna see that demonstration where the SAP Automation Pilot, it collects the needed metrics and it analyzes the metrics and the data regarding the state of our application using SAP AI Core service, because we provide to that, we also provide an integration between the Automation Pilot and the AI Core service. And just for your understanding, what AI Core service it is, well, you can consider that service as an option in SAP to run an AI model within an SAP runtime to run an AI model, and that AI model can be, you can push to that AI model data, you can specify and you can set the context to the AI model. In example, I use for this scenario GPT-4o mini. And yeah, I have selected and I have built the needed instance within the AI core service in advance. So it is, or it runs already to me. And now what we're gonna see as part of the demo, I'm specifying the system message and I'm setting up the context. So I'm pushing the data towards the AI core service and the GPT-4o mini model. And then I expect the model to analyze the data that I have collected for my application and to return the insights. So that it's the AI driven insights that I will be bringing with the automation pilot to SAP Cloud ALM, and where I could get a better understanding what exactly happens with my application, and then I can take the right decision how to remediate that situation as well using content that sits in automation pilot. Right. So, just to give you a context on other potential use cases, and then we jump to the demo. As I said, do not limit your wishes and scenarios just to the ones that I had explained or the one that you're gonna see. But um, so the automation pilot can be used as an event-driven automation. Yeah, that is super the adopted scenario. Being an alert that gets detected in alert notification service in BTP or SAP Cloud ALM or Dynatrace, Splunk, you name it, then instead of having your ops team manually going and getting the troubleshooting data, triggering a manual procedure to restore your system and resources, you can use already existing automations within Automation Pilot. Then, yeah, we have particular scenarios in the context of SAP build code and SAP build. So pretty much like if you develop and you use the services and the tools being part of build, then obviously you need to think about day two operations and what is going to happen with your extensions, your applications once you deploy these and they run on BTP. So obviously the answer, it is the automation pilot. Yeah, really, really a lot of content, a lot of scenario supported. I wouldn't spend time on that. I already have covered the option to trigger the automation being part of event-driven scenario. But on the other side, if we fire an automation, we would like to know what was the output of that automation. Did it fail, or did that automation manage to restore our system? And then the automation pilot as well can send the output, the status of the command, the output of the command to, in example, alert notification service, and then we can be notified. And that it's also quite useful to be notified only about failed commands, if there is such a thing. So we can know that a particular command had failed. Right. So speaking about CTMS, which is also part of the series, yeah, we have also ready to use command. So you can create transport nodes, you can get the transport node pretty much like automatically. You can provision all the needed artifacts for the CTMS, and then you can use the available automation to reduce the manual effort. And also you can plug the automation pilot to be used as a post-transport action that can be validating your system that they are functioning correctly. It's a kind of sanity check. Internally in SAP, we have a couple of scenarios where SAP Automation Pilot it is used for those type of sanity checks. Mass scale automation, yeah, obviously, if you need to deal, let's be honest, if you have one HANA, it's one thing to deal with or one application. But if you have tens or hundreds of databases and applications, and if you need to apply, let's say, new DB scheme on these applications, on these databases. And if you're running like with 50 plus, then it gets even more tricky. But Automation Pilot can be used in those scenarios as well. It's highly scalable. It is well proven internally as well. So do not be concerned whether or not the Automation Pilot can scale. Yes, it can. And provisioning of BTP resources as well. Of course, we have Terraform for SAP BTP, Terraform provider for SAP BTP, but also, and which is super powerful. But in case you need to have the initial onboarding of the initial provisioning of resources, and you're not interested in maintaining a particular state, then you want to use low code, no code experience in the Automation Pilot, then definitely you can go and export the available commands that we have to do so. So yeah, you can provision any type of service application. You can deal and set the right permissions for a particular user or user group. Yeah, it's as well powerful scenario for initial BTP provisioning of resources. Advanced resource checks. Yeah, if you need to make sure that more, I would say, advanced the checks when it comes to the availability of your resources are executed. In example, you want to interact with the API in a specific complicated manner, then definitely the Automation Pilot, it is the tool to go with. Right, and that's just a sample how the Automation Pilot it is used to test Automation Pilot itself. We have regular releases, of course, being a cloud service, and we have sanity checks. So here you see one of the checks, 41 tests passed, and if particular test did not pass, then we get the failures. And of course, we need to understand what did happen with the new release. Right. So let's go now to the demo. And actually, let's go back to the SAP Automation Pilot in the context of SAP Cloud ALM and see in reality how we collect the metrics, how we analyze those metrics for our CAP application with AI Core service, and then right, and then how we ingest the insights from the AI Core service into SAP Cloud ALM and retrigger the remediation. Right. So, um, you see my BTP sub-account, and here I have the Automation Pilot. As I said, it's already provisioned. It's part of the subscription model here in my BTP sub-account, and it is ready to be used. Now, just to set up the context to you, I have Cloud Foundry space, and I have an application running, and you see that the application, it looks fine, it's green, it started, but what you don't know is that behind the scene of that application, we see some particular errors, and there's that we have made an application that throws errors within the logs that obviously, and it consumes a lot of data, sorry, a lot of memory. So it is designed in a way to consume almost 400 megabytes. And as well, I have allocated 400 megabytes for the current application memory usage for my Cloud Foundry runtime. So, right, so my application, it is in status running. So far, so good. But now let's go into the Automation Pilot. And here, let's start with the dashboard. Okay, here it goes. So that's the UI of the automation pilot. Just before moving towards the next steps, I want to make a disclaimer that SAP Cloud ALM and the automation pilot natively they are not integrated. So if you have an instance of SAP Cloud ALM and instance of the SAP automation pilot, you need to bring these together. Of course, we have documentation, we have various tutorials about that. We have the documentation in both SAP Cloud ALM expert portal and SAP Automation Pilot help documentation that already had been shared to you in advance. So you can look into the help documentation, how exactly the integration it is set up. It's a couple of clicks. And if you're concerned about the security, well, we have a service account that is created in SAP Automation Pilot. And we already have passed all the security checks. So from SAP internally, so it is safe to integrate Automation Pilot towards SAP Cloud ALM. But over again, you need to create a service account in Automation Pilot and then use that service account in SAP landscape management capabilities to bring the Automation Pilot to SAP Cloud ALM. Right. Saying that, now I can go to the catalogs. And if you remember those tens of different catalogs that I have mentioned at the beginning, that's how they look like. And that's how we visualize in more appealing way the amount of different capabilities that we provide and different, let me put that way, scenarios or set of scenarios supported in the automation pilot. So just to give you a better understanding, if I look for, let's say, BTP application lifecycle management. Right. I see the label provided, and that means that all of those content, it is provided by SAP, meaning that it won't stop working over the time. We make sure that we update our content and we do not break our automations that you guys are using. So then if we are saying, all right, let's explore what exactly we have here, we simply need to click on the commands button. And here we see the set. So we have what it's like 43 out of 334 commands in total. That are listed within that catalog. And let's say, right, we are interested into add more CF application instances. So I simply click into that. I simply click into that command, and here we see the description, and then we got the input keys and the output keys. So speaking about pretty much that's the contract of the command. And also here it is an important to be outlined that a command in the automation pilot, it obviously we need to have a contract. These are the input keys where we specify, let's say, service keys, credentials. We specify where the what is the application name or the sub account ID. So all of that stuff we manage and we need to provide automatically or manually to the command in order to be executed successfully. And as part of the command, we have the output keys. So the output keys are pretty much the outputs, the value, the outcome of the command that we can consume. And as well, we can do a reference. So an example here, we can consume quite easy in a no-code way the previous resource, the previous state of the resource. Was that running, starting, or crashed? And as well, we can get the available resource state after executing that particular command. And Speaking about the inputs, we have a dedicated section where we store the inputs. So in example, if I click here, I see the input sections, the input catalogs, which I already have created in advance. So, in example, if I am interested to keep my application endpoints, obviously I am. Here it is how I have stored the input keys. So just to give you an idea how you create such. It's quite easy. So I can say that it's a string. I can specify the type of the input. Let's say that a string, and I can say API test. So obviously that's a test API. It is already here, and I can reuse that input in any of my commands that I have in my catalogs. Right. So moving forward, since we got an understanding about the catalogs, let's go and let's see a very simple command. So that's a simple HTTP request command. And here I already have specified as an input key the method, and I have specified the URL. And just to get understanding, the method, it is a static one, and the input for the URL, I am referring to an input key that I already have created in advance. So I'm referring pretty much to the home page of my bookshop application. And as part of my automation flow, I have designed that I'm using the inputs here as part of the parameters. So I get for a method, I get the input from method. Obviously, that's gonna be the get. And also as the URL parameter, I get the input that is specified within the URL. So that's gonna be the homepage of my application. And then as part of the output keys, I get the body and the status of that particular request. And in order to design that automation flow, I have used a provided command. And here I can see what exact provided command I have used. So that it's one of the core automation command that easily can be plugged in various scenarios. So that's the most basic HTTP request. And potentially I can use many other output keys within my automation, but just for simplicity, I go with just two output keys. So without further ado, I'll be triggering that one. All right, it had run successfully, and yeah, no surprise, the status it is 200, and here, yeah, I'm simply fetching the HTML for my homepage on my application. Right, but what is more interesting? That's a very basic. You can achieve this experience with a simple, let's say, Postman. But I have another catalog which is custom metrics into Cloud ALM, and within that catalog, I have I have created more advanced automation flow where I do have the inputs already available. I'm getting the details regarding my application, and here I'm collecting the data, the metrics related to the runtime of the Cloud Foundry where my application runs. And if I go to a particular command, I'm getting the space quota, I'm getting the CF application details. I can calculate the space memory, and I can convert that space memory into percentage. And at the end, I can push that data into SAP Cloud ALM. And speaking about pushing the data into SAP Cloud ALM, of course, instead of me writing complex queries towards the SAP Cloud ALM API, I have used already provided command in my automation pilot. So I have used the command which is related to push Cloud ALM quota metrics. And here I can read the description that it is related to particular quota limit metric that will be pushed to the health monitoring. So here now I will be triggering that command.
Biser, a quick time check.
Yeah, I do like 2 more minutes, Tanya. So yeah, we're gonna be on time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. So here, clicking on into the output, I can see that yeah, 400 megabytes are used, which is pretty much around 20% out of the available quota that I can allocate to my Cloud Foundry space. Now, going to the AI-powered commands. So I already have created the automation in place. So as well, I collect the application walks using provided command in the automation pilot. I collect the Cloud Foundry events. In case the application it's not started, because once I collect the events, I can see the state. I can start the application, and then, as I have mentioned, I used provided command in the automation pilot to push the collected data to the SAP AI Core service where we have GPT-4o mini model running. And I'm using that model to analyze real time the data collected for my application. And even further, I can ask the model, I can specify the system message to the model, and I can set the context. And what I do is I'm saying, hey, you're an AI assistant with expertise in CAP Node.js application. I will be sending you the logs of my Node.js application running on Cloud Foundry. Please analyze and give me insights whether or not the status is critical or not. And the same approach I apply and I focus on the memory. Pretty much I'm showing like different aspects of bringing the AI to analyze troubleshooting data. And then I push that summary to SAP Cloud ALM. So I'll be triggering that command manually, but of course, I might go and schedule that command to run periodically. It's up to us, it's up to my use case. Now, I get all the observability data for my application. Now you see that pretty much we are at the phase where that data is sent to the AI core service to analyze it. And now it's complete. And as part of the exercise, I have pushed the summaries to my SAP Cloud ALM. But let me look into the output. So here the AI output is this, that what you see is pretty much the model has returned that to me. It says that the walks based on the provided walks, here it's a summary of the application. Right, we see the memory usage, we see that there are errors and warnings. So yeah, that's a particular error that the model was able to detect. And there are some particular recommendation. So we need to look into the memory management. We need to consider upscaling the application. And as particular recommendation, I see that the memory utilization is excessive and I need to investigate. Right. So now if I go to my SAP Cloud ALM Health Monitoring, so that it's already, I have set it up for you guys. And if I go to the other metrics, that's where those custom recommendations by the AI model running on BTP are ingested into SAP Cloud ALM. And now I see that the my application status delivered by AI, it is that I need to investigate. I already have checked the recommendation that I should be considering upscaling of my application. So if now I go to the alert in Cloud ALM, I can trigger a particular recommendation action by the automation pilot, and that's gonna be to upscale my application. So I click into the start button, and then right within the operation flow section in Cloud ALM, real time, I can see that it had fired a particular automation. And there's a link, and if I click into that, if I click on that link, I will be redirecting real time to the command in Automation Pilot that actually does exactly that one. It upscales my application by adding more memory in order to remediate the situation. Of course, that's not the root cause fix, but that's immediate action in order to avoid business disruption. So yeah, pretty much due to the time limitations, I wouldn't be waiting more. So yeah, the command has been completed. And if I go now to my application and if I refresh my screen, I can see that the memory has been increased. All right, now it's increased exactly with to 656 megabytes, and pretty much my application, it's not close to the 400 megabytes that was allocated back in the time. So guys, that's the end of the demo. Tanya, Boris, in case there are questions, um, we can cover some of these
Yeah,
perhaps.
thanks a lot, Biser, for the amazing session. Really appreciate it. We already reached top of the hour, but there's a very important remark. Thanks a lot for the input to Brian um, concerning that it would be very helpful to get private cloud, SAP S/4HANA um, features for S-Trust certificate update support. I know that we start looking into those scenarios more and more, right? Also for our own operations areas. So thanks a lot, Brian, for that. I'm not sure, Biser, if you have a direct assessment here or if we just take it as input.
Yeah, I can take it as an input. And perhaps if we don't have Brian's email, here I can share my email, or maybe we can post it into the chat. So,
Yeah, sure.
Brian, please feel free to reach out to me. To send me a message, an email using the email that you see on the screen now. I'm interested to step in into that one. We are really interested into as for both public and private cloud, and we have something to bring to you, I'm sure.
Great. And then we have another question. Thanks a lot for that one. Recommendation provided by our AI tool, is the best practice included? How reliable is the recommendation? I mean, when we bring in an AI, we all know how it is, right? But
Yeah, yeah. It really depends on the system message and what type of context you set to the model. And then yeah, of course, also it depends on what inputs you share, what type of the quality of the context, and regarding how reliable it might be. Um, yeah, let's be honest, like we are exploring that domain, especially in data operations. Internally, we have teams using AI in order to go and to use the AI model for recommendations, but end of the day, the final decision, the so-called human in the loop for our internal ops teams, it's still in place. And like for, especially when it goes to analysis, that's fine. But when it goes, let's say, to restarting systems running on production. The human in the loop, it's also an approach that might be considered on top of the enhanced recommendation by AI.
Thanks a lot, Biser. That's also what I experience, right? I mean, this human in the loop approach, that's something that is really key to our overall offering. And the good thing is that also with AutoPy, it's not a black box, right? I mean, you see exactly what would be then the actual commands behind it, and you are still in control. That's the positive thing. Thanks a lot. There's another question. Are we able to
Biser, do you
start?
want to unshare? I think
Yeah, now.
Biser one.
Yeah. Are we able to stop SAP on-premise systems, run Python scripts on SAP on-premise servers with Automation Pilot? So again, this what is possible there around on-premise and private cloud systems.
Right. Regarding the private cloud, one thing that we are investigating, we are close to deliver. It's not yet there. It's not yet GA. The thing is that Automation Pilot does not support RFC calls. So it depends what type of systems we would like to restart and start, obviously, to stop and start. Regarding the connection to on-prem, that it's already available. We have examples, we have samples as well in our samples repo, which also had been shared in advance to you. So we use Cloud Connector, and we can get the access to the on-prem system. Then it would be really on what type of systems we want to start and stop. And then honest answer, if for some of these we need RFC calls, that's not the Automation Pilot as of now. If we speak about some applications running, different applications running on private cloud, then it might be interesting. But over again, maybe we need to deep dive and see which systems specifically we talk about.
Yeah, here was especially the remark, the additional information. Thanks a lot, Abhishek, for providing it, that it's Linux systems, right? But I agree. I mean, we are further exploring that, and there's more to expect, right?
Yeah. Regarding Linux systems, that's interesting. I think we can, we can deliver and we can automate certain processes, considering that we support different, like we support Python, in example. We support CLI tools. So we have experience building this. Why, like I said it, those are the core automations which can be customized in order to bring a particular custom tailored automation.
Thanks a lot, Biser. So exciting times ahead, right? I mean, it's clear that this was not the last session about options for ops automation, also with SAP Automation Pilot and Cloud ALM. But I would say, as we already crossed the time already, thanks a lot for staying in. Really appreciate it. I only want to take the opportunity to again point you to the next session starting beginning of July, then 2nd of July, there with security overview and best practice for secure development on SAP Business Technology Platform. So looking forward to welcome many of you there as well. And with that, back to you, Tania, for closing words.
Great, thank you. And a big thanks to all of you for joining us today. And of course, Biser, to you for your excellent presentation, for sharing all the valuable insights. And as you said, we're not done. The next episode 4, is coming up. So we'll continue our journey into the core capabilities of SAP BTP. And if you have any questions, experience, or opinions that on your own project that you would like to share, please post them in the comments. We would love to hear them. And with this, I hope to see you again on July 2nd. And have a great day, have a great evening, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining the session. Bye-bye.